Young man, if you wake up today and measure yourself by how far you still have to go, you will go back to sleep spiritually. If you judge your worth by the mountain still left to climb, you will forget the peak you already scaled with bloody knuckles and blistered feet. And if you let your eyes focus only on the distant finish line, you will miss the miracle that you are still running when so many others have given up. The world will always tempt you to measure forward, but the wise man, the man of strength, the man who wins not only fortunes but respect, knows the value of looking back, not with regret, but with revelation. You were not born to remain in one place. You were not born to stagnate in the face of challenge. You were built with a mind that can think beyond walls, a spirit that can rise beyond failure, and a body that can persist through pain. And yet somehow you forget that fact every time you face the next obstacle. Why? Because you've trained your mind to fixate on what's missing, not what's been gained. You've programmed yourself to pursue perfection and ignored the evidence of growth. I say to you, change that programming now. Burn the old mental blueprint and draw a new one. A blueprint built not on shame but on strength, not on lack but on legacy. There was a time, not too long ago, when you begged for the very problems you now complain about. There was a time when your now was just a distant dream. But now you're here, standing, breathing, growing. And though your shoes may be tattered and your soul weary, you have moved, you have shifted, you have climbed. And that, my friend, is no small thing. That is everything. A man's progress is not always visible to the naked eye. The most profound transformations happen in silence, behind closed doors, in the trenches of thought. No audience, no applause, just decision after decision made in the privacy of his conscience. You stopped blaming others. You began taking ownership. You rose earlier. You controlled your temper. You said no to temptation. These are victories that do not make headlines, but shape destinies. There is a law that governs this universe as sure and unbending as gravity itself. The law of focus. That which you focus on expands. If you focus on how far you have left, the distance will grow in your mind until it paralyzes your will. But if you focus on how far you've come, your capacity multiplies, your gratitude compounds, and your confidence catches fire. You begin to act not from desperation, but from dominion. You stop chasing and begin choosing. You stop hoping and begin creating. Remember this, progress is not linear. It is not an escalator that lifts you gently to success. It is a battlefield. Some days you will take ground. Other days you will hold the line. And some days you will be forced to retreat, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to regroup, to recover, to rise again with greater strategy. But in all things, if you are still standing, you are still advancing. The man who has not quit is always further than the man who never started. I have walked among millionaires, sat with visionaries, listened to leaders, and I tell you this without hesitation. None of them, none, focused on their deficits. They were acutely aware of their strengths. They kept a mental ledger of their growth. They reviewed their wins not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Because a man who forgets how far he's come will always question whether he can go further. And a man who questions his own capacity will never tap into the force that lives inside him. You have not arrived at your destination. Good. That means there is more to build, more to become. But pause now and look over your shoulder. Look with full awareness at the road behind you. See the scars, the setbacks, the silent nights, the private prayers, the tears no one saw. The days you wanted to quit but didn't, that's your resume. That's your proof. That's your power. There is no force greater than a man who knows he has survived. A man who has faced the fire and still walks. You are that man. And it's time you start acting like it. Stand taller. Speak louder. Expect more. Not from entitlement, but from evidence. You have paid a price, and that price purchased progress. Don't waste it by pretending you are still empty. Let me say this plainly. When you always look ahead, you are always in lack, because the future is infinite. There is always more to achieve, more to have, more to become. That's the trap. The finish line moves as fast as your ambition. But when you turn and reflect, genuinely, consistently, with discipline, you shift from a posture of poverty to one of plenty, from needing to appreciating, from chasing to attracting. You stop running on fumes and start drawing from the well of your own becoming. The greatest men in history did not rise by chasing shadows. They rose by building on stones. Every win, every lesson, every piece of progress became another block in the tower of their greatness. You must do the same. You must begin to collect your progress like gold. Store it, study it, stare at it. Let it remind you that greatness is not an event. It is an accumulation of honorable decisions made in ordinary moments. You are not the same man you were last year. You are not even the same man you were last week. And if you truly take that in, you will realize that your best days are not behind you, but they are also not in some distant, unreachable future. Your best days are built brick by brick, and the bricks are already in your hand. Take inventory of yourself, the lessons you've learned, the pain you've survived, the dreams you've adjusted, the mistakes you've corrected, the habits you've replaced. Count them, write them, remember them. These are your weapons, your tool, your compass, and they are what will carry you through the next storm. Not a new book, not a new job, not a new relationship, but the man you've already become. Too many men forget. That is their downfall. They run so fast from their past, they forget to honor what the past taught them. But the elite, the wise, the uncommon, they slow down just enough to remember. They reflect daily. They review their own evolution. They never stop counting the steps. And because of that, they never question the climb. This is the essence of confidence. Not arrogance, not noise, but knowledge. Knowledge of self, of struggle, of strength, of how far you've already come. So I ask you today not to plan your next move, not to craft your next vision board, not to rewrite your goals, but to sit in silence and take inventory of your victories. Let them speak to you. Let them remind you. Let them rewire your mind to see progress as your identity, not just your desire. You've come too far to forget how far you've come. And the moment you start seeing that with clear eyes, you will stop chasing the illusion of not enough and start living in the power of already becoming. You are not beginning. You are continuing. You are not lacking. You are learning. You are not behind. You are being built. Now that you've stood still long enough to recognize your own advancement, it's time to understand what that recognition truly gives you. It's not just motivation. It is momentum. And momentum is the most underestimated force in the life of any achiever. When you realize that every step you've taken has built a platform beneath you, then the next step forward becomes not a leap into the unknown, but a rise onto higher ground. And when a man moves with momentum born from reflection, he becomes unstoppable, not because of external support, but because of internal certainty. Consider the man who labors in darkness. No applause, no spotlight, no validation, and yet every day he shows up. He trains when no one is watching. He sharpens his mind while others entertain theirs. He withholds his tongue when provoked. He reads when others gossip. He rises when others rest. The world sees none of this, and so it assumes he is standing still. But the man knows. The man remembers. He has kept score, not of others' approval, but of his own transformation. And in that silent scorekeeping, he finds a strength that cannot be borrowed, a power that cannot be faked. This is where most people fail. They think the journey forward requires inspiration from outside, a mentor, a speech, a breakthrough moment. And while those things can help, they are not the fuel of greatness. The real fuel is reflection, review, recognition of growth. If you do not count your wins, your mind will assume you have none. If you do not revisit your victories, your spirit will start to believe you've never moved. That is how the mediocre live, always in pursuit of something more, while blind to the mountain of progress beneath their feet. What happens when you start from this place of strength, of self-awareness, of deep appreciation for your climb, is that you begin to demand more of yourself, not from insecurity, but from integrity. You say, I've come this far, how can I stop now? You stop needing others to believe in you, because your belief is rooted in proof. You stop asking for reassurance, because you carry your own receipts. And when the world throws doubt your way, you don't flinch, you show them the steps you've already taken, and you keep moving. This principle applies to everything. Business, relationships, fitness, finance, character. The man who forgets how far he's come is always chasing. He's always in lack. But the man who remembers is always building. He's always overflowing. His focus is not on acquiring more, but on honoring what he has become. Because of that, he becomes even more. Let's take a look at the entrepreneur who has just started to taste progress. He remembers his first cold call, trembling. His first pitch, stammering. His first rejection, devastating. But now he speaks with clarity. He navigates with confidence. He understands the game. Did he make it to the top? Not yet. But did he elevate? Absolutely. And that elevation is his age. If he forgets it, he collapses under pressure. But if he reflects on it, he becomes unshakable. Or take the man rebuilding his character after a lifetime of mistakes. He once flew off the handle, broke trust, lost respect, but today he holds his tongue. He apologizes with sincerity. He shows up for his family even when it's hard. He lives by principle. That's no small feat. That's redemption in motion. And yet, if he constantly measures himself by perfection, he will see only failure. But if he focuses on the man he was and the man he is becoming, he will never turn back. He will grow, not because others demand it, but because he honors his progress too deeply to lose it. You must start documenting your transformation, not for public display, but for private power. Keep a record, a journal, a log of lessons learned, actions taken, victories earned. Revisit it weekly. Let it remind you of your upward trajectory. Your mind is a battlefield, and if you do not arm it with evidence, it will be overtaken by lies. The lie of you're not enough. The lie of you haven't done anything. The lie of you're still behind. But when your mind has truth, proof, it becomes a fortress. And no criticism, no delay, no setback can shake it. You've heard the phrase, success leaves clues. But too many look for those clues in others. You must find them in yourself. Study your own pattern. Revisit the days you rose when you didn't feel like it. Recall the moments you conquered fear, even if your hands were trembling. Look at the version of you that started this journey and recognize the evolution. That is the greatest clue you'll ever receive, that you're capable of more because you've already become more. Now let us consider the power of compounded effort. Every act of discipline, every decision to stay the course, every refusal to quit, it builds something in you. Not just results, but reputation. You begin to trust yourself. And when a man trusts himself, he no longer needs permission to move forward. He becomes his own authority. And from that place he acts not out of doubt, but out of dominion. This is not about being proud in a boastful sense. This is about ownership, accountability. A man who owns his progress becomes a steward of his own future. He stops outsourcing his motivation. He doesn't need to be told what he's worth. He's seen it. He's lived it. He's earned it. And as you continue to build on this mindset, you begin to see that your focus on how far you've come doesn't make you complacent. It makes you courageous. Because now, when new challenges arise, you meet them with a memory of past victories. You face the unknown with the confidence of a man who's already survived the impossible. You don't fear the storm. You remember you've weathered worse. When people say stay hungry, they often mean it as a warning against satisfaction. But I say to you, be full and stay hungry. Be full of awareness, full of gratitude, full of strength. And let that fullness drive your hunger, not from emptiness, but from abundance. Hunger born from lack leads to desperation. But hunger born from gratitude leads to greatness. Because now you're no longer chasing something to prove your worth. You're building on the worth you've already created. This is the secret of the successful. They do not focus on failure, nor do they get high on future fantasies. They stay grounded in the reality of who they have become. And that reality fuels their next move. They review their life like an investor reviews a portfolio. What's working? What has grown? Where can I increase? They're strategic, they're sober, and they are always advancing, not because they're dissatisfied, but because they're aligned. So let today be the day you stop staring at the summit and start honoring the climb. Let today be the day you stop asking, why am I not there yet? And start saying, look how far I've come, and I'm still moving. Because that shift in language is a shift in power. That shift in power is a shift in posture. And that shift in posture will change your trajectory. Never forget, the man who walks slowly but with certainty will go further than the man who sprints blindly. And certainty comes not from speed, but from awareness, from review, from the quiet knowledge that you are indeed further than you were. And that, my friend, is enough to keep moving with fire in your chest and steel in your spine. You have built something already. Don't overlook it. Don't dismiss it. Don't discard it. Build upon it. Reflect. Refine. Recommit. And rise. And now that you understand the power of reflecting on your progress, you must go further. You must learn to build upon that reflection with relentless intention. For what good is awareness without action? What power lies in recognition if not harnessed for the future? The world does not reward men who merely acknowledge their growth. It rewards those who leverage it, who look at the foundation they have laid and begin without hesitation to build the next level with boldness and precision. To focus only on how far you've come is not to glorify the past. It is to extract its wisdom, its strength, its resilience, and apply it to the demands of today. There is a subtle danger in being so focused on the destination that you forget the strength you gained in the climb. But the man who stops, even briefly, to recall the weight he once carried, the storms he once endured, becomes a man who walks forward with the weight of experience and the armor of perspective. Let me be clear. The world will tempt you to measure your life by metrics it can see, by wealth, by possessions, by applause. But those who are truly rich are not those with the most, but those who remember the least they once had and the most they've become. For the man who started with little and grew himself into more, into honor, into skill, into courage, he is the man who possesses true power, the kind that cannot be repossessed by time, economy, or circumstance. And here's a truth you must not forget. Progress is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you are standing still, weeks when the results do not match your effort, months when your inner growth outpaces your outer gain. But if you are wise, you will not panic. You will look back, not to retreat, but to recalibrate. You will say, yes, today was hard, but I remember a time when I couldn't handle days like this. And yet, here I am. That kind of remembering gives birth to endurance. That endurance is the birthplace of champions. It is easy to forget who you used to be. It is tempting to minimize the transformation. But this is not humility. It is theft. You rob yourself of fire when you fail to honor your fight. No man becomes more by pretending he is still less. No man advances by denying his advancement. You must carry the truth of your evolution with you, not as arrogance, but as evidence. And what do you do with that evidence? You use it to declare war on every excuse. You confront the voice that says, you're not ready, with the undeniable fact, you've been preparing. You confront the voice that says, you haven't done enough, with the record of effort and sacrifice etched into your daily life. You confront doubt with discipline, fear with memory, uncertainty with unshakable resolve born from the road you've already walked. You see, the man who is focused only on how far he still has to go will eventually run out of energy, because the horizon always moves. The goalpost always shifts. But the man who looks inward, who sees the proof of his development, who remembers that he once stumbled through what he now stands over, he will never run dry. He draws from a well the world cannot touch. He becomes a force not easily broken because he knows he's already been broken and rebuilt stronger. Let us take this to a practical level. In your daily life, there must be a discipline of reflection. At the end of each day, do not simply ask what you failed at, ask what you overcame. At the end of each week, do not merely count the tasks unfinished. Count the strength you gained in the effort. Did you show more patience than the week before? Did you lead with integrity in the face of pressure? Did you push past fatigue when it would have been easier to quit? That is progress. That is the kind of advancement that builds men, not just resume. And as you reflect, begin to speak differently. Language is the framework of belief. Too many speak only of lack. I still need to. I'm not yet. I hope one day. This is the vocabulary of the uncertain. Replace it with declarations that align with truth. I've grown in patience. I've developed strength. I've overcome habits that once controlled me. You're not lying to yourself. You are training your mind to see what it has built so that it might build more. Every brick of progress, no matter how small, is a foundation stone. And the man who builds with consistency will outlast the man who waits for ideal conditions. Too many wait for confidence before they act. But confidence is not a precondition, it is a product. It comes from doing, failing, rising, and doing again. And if you look at how far you've come, you will see you already have evidence of confidence. You've already acted. You've already advanced. Now, let us talk about comparison. One of the most dangerous distractions is measuring your journey against another man's timeline. You see his success, his speed, his applause, and you assume you are behind. But you don't see his soil. You don't see the cost he paid or the corners he cut. You don't see the character beneath the image. And if you let that image define your self-worth, you will abandon your own path, your own timing, your own truth. Do not compare. Instead, consider this. Have you been faithful with what you had? Have you stewarded your time, your energy, your gifts? Have you risen more often than you've fallen? If so, then you are further than you were, and that is all that matters. The only man you should compare yourself to is the man you were yesterday. That man is your competition. That man is your mirror. And beating him is the victory that matters most. To focus only on how far you've come is to stay in alignment with your own purpose. It is to stay grounded in reality. To avoid the fantasy of perfection and to embrace the process of progress. You are not chasing an illusion. You are building a life, step by step, from the ground up. And every step matters. Every step counts. Not one is wasted when taken with intention. And now, as you carry this mindset forward, you must do one more thing. Teach it, share it, embody it. Let your example be a light for others still trapped in self-doubt. Be the one who says, "Look at what I've overcome," not to boast, but to inspire. Be the man who pulls others out of their pit by reminding them they've already climbed farther than they realize. In doing so, your own strength multiplies. You become a lighthouse, not moved by the storms, but guiding others through them. And that, my friend, is leadership. That is legacy. That is the reward of a man who reflects not for nostalgia, but for power. As you walk further on this path of self-awareness and inward strength, you must now come to understand that recognizing your growth is not the end. No, it is only the ignition. For knowledge, when not applied, is mere potential. It is the unstruck match, the seed never sown. To focus only on how far you've come is to acknowledge that you carry within you the most powerful leverage of all, the proof that you can evolve. And with that proof, you must now move with purpose, not hesitation. There are those who pause at the checkpoint of progress and grow comfortable. They see how far they've come and use it as a place to rest rather than to rise. That is the great era of comfort. It whispers the lie that you've done enough, that the race is run, that coasting is deserved. But I tell you this, coasting is the beginning of decline. You were not born to plateau. You were born to climb. The top of one mountain must always become the base of the next. This mindset, this insistence on perpetual movement must be balanced with gratitude. You see, there is no contradiction in being both content and ambitious. In fact, the most powerful men I've ever known carry both. They are thankful for the ground they've covered, but they are hungry for more. Gratitude anchors them. Ambition fuels them. Together, these forces form the engine of destiny. Let us speak clearly now. Gratitude is not a passive feeling. It is not weak or quiet. It is an active force, a loud declaration that what I have, I honor. And what I honor, I multiply. The man who is truly grateful takes care of what he has. He refines his character. He nurtures his craft. He builds with devotion. He doesn't waste time envying others or bemoaning what he lacks, because he's too busy maximizing what's in his hands. And now let us turn to the subject of belief, the belief in oneself that must deepen as progress unfolds. You cannot afford to still see yourself as you once were. The man who keeps dragging his old identity into his new life will always sabotage his potential. You must let go of the version of you who once doubted, once feared, once shrank. He served his purpose. He carried you through hardship. But now he must be laid to rest. In his place stands a man forged by fire, tempered by trials, focused not on fantasy but on fact, the fact that he is growing. You attract better not because you wish for it, but because you become better. And to become better, you must act like the man you are becoming, not the man you were. Start showing up with posture. Speak like one who knows. Decide like one who's been tested. Lead like one who remembers what it was like to follow. That is how you honor the journey, by refusing to revert. As you continue forward, you will be tested. Every level demands a new strength. Just because you've grown does not mean the trials will stop. In fact, they may intensify. But here's the difference. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You've climbed this type of hill before. You've seen this kind of storm and found shelter within. You've learned that pain, while loud, is never permanent. And you've discovered that resilience is not inherited, it is built. You must also guard your environment. As you grow, you will find that not everyone around you will applaud. Some will be confused by your progress. Some will feel threatened by it. Others will try to tether you to who you used to be. But remember this, no one is obligated to understand your evolution. You do not owe your past to anyone who refuses to respect your future. If your growth offends them, let it. If your rise reveals their resistance, so be it. Your journey is not up for negotiation. In these moments, you must protect your peace. Energy is currency. Time is treasure. Give neither to those who drain, distract, or demean. You cannot afford to rent space in your mind to critics. They do not pay your bills. They do not carry your burdens. And they do not build your dream. Surround yourself with those who see your progress and call you to even more, not with shame, but with belief. It is here that we must speak of vision, not the vague idea of where you want to go, but the vivid image of who you are becoming. The man who progresses with power is the man who holds a clear picture in his mind's eye. He sees himself not just succeeding, but contributing. Not just achieving, but transforming. His goals are not rooted in ego, but in purpose. He knows that true satisfaction does not come from external applause, but from the quiet knowing that he did not waste his potential. And if you have made it this far, if you've been walking this road of reflection, refining, rising, then you are already ahead of most. You have broken the cycle of unconscious living. You have stopped measuring yourself against imaginary timelines. You have started to see the value in consistency over chaos, intention over impulse. This alone is a great victory. But now, the challenge is to remain in this state. For growth requires maintenance. Your mindset must be renewed daily. Build rituals that protect your focus. Begin your days with reflection, not on what you lack, but on what you carry. End your days with a review, not of your failures, but of your forward movement. Document your wins, no matter how small. Celebrate your integrity, not just your income. These practices root you in truth, and truth is the soil in which greatness grows. The world wants you distracted. It wants you comparing. It wants you chasing shadows. But you are no longer that man. You are grounded. You are centered. You are walking with clarity, not confusion. And every step you take with this awareness becomes a seed for your future. The fruits may not appear immediately, but they will come. And when they do, you will not be surprised. You will be prepared. So walk on, my friend, not with haste, but with holiness. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with noise, but with knowing. For the distance ahead matters little when you understand the greatness already within you. Your path is your own. And you, more than anyone, know just how far you've come. As you move deeper into your journey, reflect again on this one undeniable truth. Most men fail not because they lack ability, but because they lose sight of their direction. They become so intoxicated by where they think they should be that they forget how much ground they've already gained. The world teaches you to always look ahead, to chase endlessly, to covet what others possess. But wisdom, true, earned, spiritual wisdom, demands that you pause and behold the mountain you've already climbed, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. Not to boast, but to believe. When you measure your worth against external standards, you become a slave to circumstance. One moment you're high, the next you are low, and you don't know why. But when your measurement comes from within, when you see clearly what storms you have weathered, what pain you have transformed, and what self you have outgrown, then you walk with a calm authority. That authority becomes the foundation for the future you are yet to build. You do not need approval because you have certainty. You do not need applause because you have evidence. Understand that the world will always try to define you by your latest result. It will honor you one day and ignore you the next. But you must never allow it to determine your worth. Your worth was never attached to a number, a title, or a status. Your worth is in the effort. It is in the decision you make each day to rise again, to act in faith, to give when you feel empty, to serve when you are unseen, to work even when no one watches. That is real value, and it compounds over time, silently, invisibly, until one day it speaks so loudly the world can no longer ignore it. Let us be clear. Progress is not a straight line. Growth is not clean. And greatness is not glamorous. It is forged in the unseen hour. It is built in the mundane. The successful man is not he who performs when the spotlight is on, but he who persists when no one notices. The man who trains when no one claps. The man who improves when no one asks. The man who stays committed even when doubt knocks at his door. That man, quiet, focused, consistent, he cannot be denied. Time is his ally, and faith is his fuel. To focus on how far you've come is not to deny that there is more to do. It is to honor the fact that you are not who you once were. You have been through battles that would have broken weaker men. You have risen from places where others chose to remain. And though you may still carry scars, you also carry stories that now serve as reminders of your strength. Do not waste them. Do not bury them. Use them. Let your journey be the fire that lights another man's path. Let your past fuel your purpose. And purpose, yes, let's talk of purpose. It is the compass that brings clarity in chaos. Without it, you drift. With it, you direct. And your purpose is not to impress, it is to impact. Not to gain followers, but to develop fortitude. Not to seek comfort, but to build capacity. The stronger your sense of why, the less you'll be seduced by the illusions of what. Men who lack purpose chase pleasure. Men with purpose endure pain, for they know it shapes them. You must now ask yourself, are you moving with purpose or merely motion? Are you advancing with strategy or stumbling through reaction? Your answer lies not in how fast you go, but in how aligned you feel. Peace is the proof of alignment. If your path robs you of peace, it may be the wrong path, even if it looks right from the outside. Choose the road that calls your soul, not just your ambition. And while we're here, let us also address a universal enemy, comparison. Nothing will steal your joy faster. Nothing will cloud your vision more. Comparison is the thief that enters quietly, disguising itself as inspiration, but it carries poison. The man who compares trades his gratitude for resentment. He cannot see how far he's come, for his eyes are always on another's lane. But let me remind you, no two paths are alike. No two callings are identical. And what you carry, no man can duplicate. Your timeline is sacred. Your journey is divine. Instead of comparison, choose celebration. Celebrate the progress of others, not as a threat, but as a testimony that growth is possible. The man who celebrates others is free. The man who envies others is bound. And you must be free if you are to rise to your full stature. Take inventory often, not of your failures, but of your formation. Ask yourself, who was I 6 months ago? Who was I last year? What fears did I face? What lies did I reject? What strength did I build? When you begin to measure progress this way, you'll find that your life has been a series of quiet victories, many of which you never gave yourself credit for. But credit is important. Acknowledgement is fuel. Don't wait for the world to validate you. Become your own evidence. This kind of self-honoring does not produce arrogance. It produces assurance. The man who is assured does not need to boast. He walks with silent power. He enters rooms without explaining himself. He no longer begs for seats at tables, he builds his own. And from that place of internal certainty, he becomes magnetic. Not because he seeks to attract, but because he radiates wholeness. People are drawn not to perfection, but to presence. And presence is born from knowing your own value. If you have stumbled recently, if you feel behind, if doubt still whispers, know this. The fact that you're still walking makes you worthy. The fact that you're still trying means the fire has not gone out. And the fire, though it flickers, still burns. Protect it. Feed it. Trust it. You've come too far to quit now. You've endured too much to go back. You are too aware to play small again. There is wisdom in your wounds. There is strength in your scars. There is direction in your delays. And there is power in your progress. Every day, you choose growth over comfort, vision over fear, faith over frustration. You become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger. You do not bend like you used to. You do not break like you once did. You are rooted. You are rising. And so, as we close this chapter and prepare to continue, let us make one vow. We will not measure by what is missing. We will not obsess over what's next. We will honor how far we've come. We will build from a foundation of gratitude. We will move not out of desperation, but direction. For we are no longer men running from the past. We are men who have risen from it. Let us begin this final ascent with a truth few dare to accept. You are already more than halfway there. Not because the road is easy, not because the climb is short, but because you now possess what most never develop, the right perspective. The man who learns to honor his own progress is the man who cannot be stopped. He is no longer a wanderer chasing distant illusions, but a builder erecting greatness upon the foundation of experience, persistence, and clarity. Too many men focus solely on the peak of the mountain, and in doing so, they become blind to the summit they've already reached. They see only what remains, not what's been conquered. And so they live in constant unrest, their souls dissatisfied, their hearts weary, their efforts unnoticed even by themselves. But the man who learns to pause just long enough to look over his shoulder and see the miles he has traveled gains strength for the road ahead. He remembers the weight he once carried. He recalls the days when fear paralyzed him. And in that memory, he finds evidence. Evidence that he is not the same. Evidence that he has changed. Evidence that he is becoming. And when you become aware of your own evolution, you stop questioning whether you are worthy of more. You begin to see that worth is not something you earn someday. It is something you demonstrate every single time you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure, and vision over validation. The world tells you to strive. I tell you to notice. Notice how you've kept going. Notice how you've matured. Notice how many times you wanted to quit but didn't. That is the difference. That is the growth. That is the man you've become. Do not make the mistake of believing you must be perfect to celebrate yourself. Perfection is a myth designed to keep you small. It is a prison that keeps your eyes locked on flaws while your strengths go unnoticed. The man who waits to be flawless before he honors his progress is like the farmer who waits for the perfect storm to plant his seed. He will wait forever and harvest nothing. But the man who sees beauty in the process, even when messy, even when painful, is the man who creates a legacy, not just a result. You must also understand this. The finish line is not the point. The world may measure men by outcomes, but greatness is found in the man who walks with integrity in the middle of the journey. A goal can be taken from you. A title can be stripped. A trophy can rust. But the man you become, no one can take that from you. It is yours. And that man, when he chooses to focus not on the end, but on the progress, he becomes immune to external manipulation. He cannot be bribed with attention or derailed by failure. He is rooted, focused, and inwardly free. You must now ask yourself a different kind of question. Not, how much more do I have to do? But how much have I already done that I never thought I could? That question changes everything. It shifts your posture. It lifts your eyes. It ignites gratitude. And gratitude is the most powerful fuel known to man. The man who is grateful cannot be broken. The man who is grateful does not shrink. He sees with clarity. He moves with purpose. He lives in abundance, regardless of what he has or lacks. Gratitude does not mean complacency. It means completeness. It means that even while you pursue more, you are not defined by lack. It means that you can dream without despising your current reality. It means that you can strive without striving from emptiness. It means you've discovered the secret that what you think about, you bring about. And when you think from a place of abundance, from a place of growth already made, you attract even more of that which aligns with your destiny. Do not be fooled by the noise of the world. It will try to rush you. It will try to shame you. It will try to convince you that your timeline is off. But no man was ever late to his own purpose. As long as you are alive and breathing and moving forward, you are right on time. So take your eyes off the clock. Take your eyes off the scoreboard. Look instead at the mirror. That is where your victory is measured. That is where your future is forged. That is where your power resides. As you near the end of this inner pilgrimage, do not confuse finality with rest. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper level. Each time you reach a new understanding, life demands more from you. It does not reward you with ease. It challenges you with responsibility. But the man who has come this far is not afraid of responsibility. He welcomes it, because he knows he has built himself into a vessel worthy of what is to come. You are not who you were. You are wiser now, stronger, more disciplined, more focused, more aware of your own power. You have stepped away from the noise and into the signal. You no longer need the approval of others because you approve of yourself. You no longer chase shadows because you have become light. You no longer beg life to be different because you have learned how to shape it from within. You attract better when you become better. You receive more when you give more. You lead others when you first led yourself. That is the order. That is the law. That is the truth. And it all begins with awareness, not of how far you have left to go, but of how far you've come. For in that awareness lies your confidence, your joy, your strategy, your momentum, and your greatness, as I have told you. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief is not born in the future. It is anchored in the past, in the miles you've walked, in the walls you've broken, in the demons you've silenced, in the inner victories that no one else saw, but you did. And that is enough. So now, as you take the next step, take it not with doubt, but with certainty. Take it not with fear, but with fire. Take it not because the world demands it, but because the man you've become is ready. You are not beginning. You are continuing. You are not hoping. You are knowing. You are not waiting for permission. You are declaring your power. Look at the path behind you. Breathe it in. Own it. Then look ahead, not with desperation, but with the quiet confidence of a man who knows. The hardest part is not starting. The hardest part is continuing. And you, yes, you have continued. That is the evidence. That is the proof. That is the path. Now go forward, and do not forget to look back, not with regret, but with reverence. For the man you were made, the man you are. And the man you are will create the man you will become. That is the victory. That is the process. That is the power of focusing only on how far you've come